cala cuando canta yo. Me transformo en el color del misterio.
We cannot talk about climate change on the one hand and continue to engage with each other's differences through wars and massive usage of weapons on the other hand. The two are in contradiction to each other. Wars exasperate climate change for many reasons. The destruction of farmlands, forests, and so many animals, the heavy reliance on fuel, and the massive human displacement it causes. And there is one damage, a significant damage of war, that will take hundreds of years to clean up, and that is the health of the soil. You see, healthy soils are one of our best natural defenses against climate change. It is a critical carbon sequester, drawing in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it underground. Weapons, on the other hand, in all their kinds, missiles, tanks, bombs, shells, landmines, and from manufacturing to testing to usage, poison the soil by releasing toxic substances that seeps into the ground. Such poison lingers, polluting everything they touch, and poisoned soil becomes a source of carbon emissions rather than a sink, thereby amplifying the greenhouse effect and exacerbating global warming and climate change. Here's the thing. Soil does not distinguish between who is this warring faction or that, who is this nationality, religious ethnicity, or political group or that. When it is poisoned, it impacts all of us equally. As a matter of fact, it impacts our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren equally. Wars are no longer a viable option given that the mother of all crises at the moment is the health of Mother Earth. It is time for us to change how we deal with our disagreements and conflicts as humans in a new way. Now, I am no stranger to wars and all the damage they create. Wars, as a matter of fact, define much of my life, both as someone who was born and raised in Iraq, a country that suffered from decades of wars, and as a humanitarian who worked with women survivors of wars worldwide, from Afghanistan to Sudan. I have come to be familiar with the loud sound of wars, the piercing sound of innocent civilian cries, mothers, fathers, and children, the horrible sound of explosions as they destroy hospitals, homes, and schools. Everything about war is loud, everything. Even the drones have this horrible loud sound. I just haven't heard the earth until I fell on my knees as I nearly took on my last breath, and was left ill and frail for a while. In that time, I learned that when all is lost, nature becomes the most critical healer. And in moments of fragility, the mind and the ego calms down, and the heart steps up with its voice and wisdom. It was during that time that I first noticed that everything about nature is alive. The soil that we walk on, plant in, and pass by without paying much attention to it is alive. It has an amazing ecosystem. That was the first time in my life when I realized there is another sound of war that I had not heard before. Earth cries when we detonate weapons on it. It takes a century and sometimes more for the soil to rid itself of all the poison caused by weapons. Now, I don't believe that we humans are going to stop disagreeing and fighting with each other. This perhaps comes with being human. But we have to learn a new skill to deal with our differences and our conflicts. We need to learn the art of dialogue, of listening, and of reconciliation. Earth needs us to adapt and change in this moment. For we cannot bomb an earthquake into submission. We cannot nuke a hurricane if it's in our path. And we cannot fight tornadoes with drones. We need to learn a new way of being to guide us forward in dealing with our challenges. And Earth can teach us how to do that. Nature teaches us to listen, how to truly listen to all the nuances and all the emotions behind our enemies' actions and words and our own. Nature teaches us to see our inevitable connection with each other. Nothing about nature is independent, and everything about nature is interdependence on each other to survive. This applies to us humans. Earth teaches us empathy when we see how we all are struggling to try to survive. It teaches us patience, respect, and resources, and adaptability, and ultimately Earth teaches us love. The choice is ours. Do we want to continue as we are and go deeper into the abyss wars create on ourselves and our enemies? Or do we want to pursue the courageous path of reconciliation to deal with our conflicts for us and for our children and for generations to come to live in this beautiful earth? The choice is yours to make, but make it after you spend some time in nature.
Chala, cuando